In a very interesting turn of news events for Gran Turismo, we have a teaser trailer between Sony AI and Polyphony, which doesn't even specifically say Gran Turismo, but clearly hints at it, and even includes a lot of Gran Turismo footage. Now, this doesn't confirm anything, that's kind of the point of a teaser, but it does lead to some interesting speculation, and I have a theory on this. In fact, I have two theories. The second one could be completely wrong, but I think the first one is a fairly sure bet. Now, I'm sure some of you who have seen this teaser probably agree on my theory, which is, for those who haven't seen it, I think this is going to be Gran Turismo's answer to the Forza driver task system. Now, back in the day, for those who don't know, there was a lot of hype created around this idea of kind of a Forza AI version of your friends and even yourself, which would race against your friends in an AI capacity when you're not even on the game. And I recall there being some kind of hype about earning money while you're not on the game. I don't recall that being implemented that much, but maybe that was more in the motorsport titles. As much as I love Forza though, in the latest titles, especially in the Horizon games, it's just a gimmick. It's just AI drivers, which aren't your friends, that just has your friend's name floating above the car. It's not driving your friend's cars, it's not driving like your friend, etc. I believe that Polyphony's version could be trying to be a more literal version of that concept. Maybe even, as this trailer hints at, with the inclusion of the world finalists in the trailer, as well as some familiar kind of animated footage of the engine working, etc., like you'd see in a GT Sport loading menu, and even those rays of light that we've seen in other Gran Turismo trailers. So there's a lot of Gran Turismo teasers in there, but I believe they might actually be doing kind of an AI interpretation of finalist drivers' driving styles so that we can race against them. Or at least, if it's not literally them, to use those drivers to improve the learning of the AI, to make the option there perhaps for those who do want to really challenge themselves to take on literal top tier drivers. And if you think about it, that would actually be an even better way of creating those drivers for the future. Because think about it from a business perspective. Those guys who race in the finalist events, the guys and gals, they're going to get older. They're not going to do that forever. So they need the next generation. Well, what better way of making the next generation of that than by training us within the game before the events even start? Now, I believe, and this is the second part of my theory, and this one could be completely wrong, but bear with me, I believe we've actually already participated in the beta test without even knowing it. So bear with me. Creating something like this, if that is what it is not an overnight thing. This would have taken at least probably 6 months to a year. It's probably still undergoing development, and we don't even know if it's going to be a Gran Turismo 7 thing, although I think it probably will be, maybe even an update. But here's my theory. I believe that we saw the beta for this, the testing of the waters, if you will, in GT Sport, because toward the end of GT Sport's run, we saw something totally different get added to the game. Something that really didn't make sense for that late in the game cycle, and something which was completely different to any of the other updates, and was, if I recall correctly, the only update or DLC with a price tag attached. And I am of course referring to the Lewis Hamilton challenges. Now that was not AI. You were racing against Hamilton's literal ghosts. It was a paid DLC, you could win a massive amount of credits in the game, an exclusive car, and of course the main thing, to challenge yourself against a real racing driver. With that being said, I believe that without even knowing it, there is a distinct possibility that Polyphony was using us, those of us who did buy that, to test the waters on how interested the community would be in something like that. And when you think of it that way, the fact that that DLC had a price tag makes more sense than just it being a cash grab. I don't think it was a cash grab. I think they very deliberately gave it a price tag because that really showed how interested people were. Would they be willing to pay real money just to test their mettle against a real driver? Nothing but the challenge. And enough of us clearly showed that we were interested enough. I believe there is a distinct possibility that that could have been a trial run, and that we were in effect beta testing this future idea without even knowing it. Now, as I said, I could be completely wrong there, but it wouldn't surprise me, let's put it that way. It showed that enough of us have an interest in that for them to pursue it as an included thing, because if we're honest about it, one of the most consistent complaints about Gran Turismo's entire history, even from superfans, has pretty much always been the AI. Not necessarily that it's not quick enough, but that it's too inconsistent, that they're kind of dumb, and that sometimes they just seem to straight up cheat, getting in your way, blocking you, hitting into you, etc. If they can make an AI system which literally learns from real pros, well, of course that's going to be superior if it's implemented correctly. Now, we've seen from the penalty system and its implementation in GT Sport that it's not going to be perfect. So if I am correct in this theory, then don't expect it to be a flawless system. But let's be honest, it would probably be an improvement, at least in terms of how challenging it would make the game. And I don't think it's a bad idea. The one thing which I would have a little bit of concern about, but not really, because I don't think they'd do this, is I would hope that there's kind of a difficulty level that you could choose, because the fact is not everyone would be quick enough to race against those people, especially not if you're just on the game to have fun. So maybe it might be like a specific aspect of the game, kind of like the Vettel challenges back in Gran Turismo's past, the Senna challenges, of course the Hamilton challenge. There is a precedent there for having that kind of thing featured. So that's it for my theory overall. Of course, tell me down below, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you think it's something totally different? Do you think I may be wrong on a certain point? And of course, aside from all of that, I've featured a ton of GT7 breakdowns and news recently, things which you might have missed. And thanks, incidentally, for all of the positive feedback on the last video about my imitation of launch control on a rally car. I didn't know how people would react to that, but it was pretty positive. And of course, just a minor correction there. I was describing the completely wrong thing, as many comments pointed out. I was describing launch control instead of anti-lag. When I read anti-lag, my mind thought of launch control, which is what I was talking about. So just a little bit of housekeeping there. And overall, of course, stick around on the channel for a lot more GT7 content to come, especially when the game is released within a month from now. But until next time, I'll see you then, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.